there, bookish besties, and welcome to the Firefly Collective, a spicy fantasy bookish podcast hosted by your very own Hannah and Carrie. Once upon a time, two best friends were discussing book clubs and the strict rules that make up their monthly meetings. After getting dismissed by one book club in particular, the women decided to host their own book club, the Fairy Spice Book Club, where there are no rules. Want to read the book? Want to skip the book and discuss your cats? Have the desire to obsess over the Shadow Daddy in the latest fantasy series? We are here for you. The Firefly Collective is simply the extension of our beloved book club made up of several fabulous women from all over the world. We will be discussing in depth the fantasy book of the month, including magical world building, characters, themes, conflicts, theories, tropes, lore, and so much more. The Firefly Collective podcast is 18 and up due to its adult content. Yeah, that means there will be adult language about an adult book. Yeah, graphic details, illicit materials, and maybe what we would do with our very own Shadow Daddy.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Welcome. Welcome to the Firefly Collective. Recording,
with a video.
with a video. I guess we're always recording. We can see each other's faces, and you can see ours. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm going to choose that it's a good thing because I put makeup on, so you're welcome.
Yeah, same. No, I think it's good.
So today we are talking about From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout.
We're starting the series.
We're starting the series, and we're going to be reading both this series and its prequel series, the Flesh and Fire series. And I am so incredibly excited to talk about these books. Honestly, this series and Flesh and Fire are my absolute favorite fantasy books.
I agree. It didn't really dawn on me until I was rereading the book that how much I loved this book and this series.
Yeah. I love the characters. I love the world building. I love the spice. Jennifer L. Armentrout, to me, writes sex better than any other fantasy writer that I've read.
For sure. Yeah.
Hands down, it's spicy, it's teasing, it's just all the things.
It's sensual, all the things. Yeah. And it's based around love, which is something that I find incredibly attractive in her writing.
Yes, and she doesn't condemn people for finding pleasure outside of love.
Well, true, yeah.
There are some definite love connections connected to her sex scenes, which is great. But there's plenty of pleasure written about that has nothing to do with love. Looking at you, Miss Willa.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. And how about, this book right here? I know you have it, too. Yes. The Vision of Flesh and Blood I was reading today. All the Miss Willa comments
here. In it. Yes. So we'll get to what Miss Willa is, but what we're talking about this is it's a compendium. So both the Blood and Ash and Flesh and Fire series, so it has glossary and terms and characters, and so it's just kind of like a dictionary for the series. And so that's why we both have it out, so we can
and you get a lot more of the backstories. It even has playlists. Did you see that in the back that it has playlists for each book?
No, but I'm definitely going to look at that now. So we always start off with an overall rating. This is a 5-star read for me, 100%. And I would give it a 4 chili peppers.
On this book or the entire series?
This book specifically.
Yeah, I would have to say
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 on the chili.
3.5 on the chili peppers. Mm-hmm. But a 5-star.
5-star read. I was looking at some of the Reddit comments because this book is not super new. It came out in 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
But it's more of a, you either love her, like it's an obsession, you love her writing, or you absolutely hate it. There's no in between with her writing, with her fans.
Yeah, I love her writing. I also love her as a person because she's the creator of Polycon, which is a romance novel convention, which one day we would like to go to, but it sells out so quickly. But also she supports other authors. Like she is every Tuesday saying, "This is a book that dropped today. Go check it out." Like she really is very supportive of the author community and uses her platform for like really good stuff.
Yeah,
Love her.
Polycon sold out in like think less than 2 minutes. So I don't. It's not that big, and that's a good
They
thing and a
keep it
bad
small.
thing.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
you
they
get
keep
to
it
talk with the
small.
authors.
Yeah, because they want you to be able to talk with the authors and get things signed. And I appreciate that because I've been to many conventions where they oversell. So the celebrities are, their lines are hours and hours long and they only get 2 seconds with people. And so I appreciate it. I just wish I could go. But
Yeah, we both tried to get tickets.
yeah,
I tried to get them in the middle of Mamma Mia. As it
I
was starting, I had my phone down here, like, oh, I'm gonna get kicked out. I'm gonna get kicked out. Trying to
I
get
haven't
more tickets.
bought tickets during a middle of a Broadway show, but I have in the intermission logged onto a pop shop and bought pins.
That's okay.
Um, so, priorities. We should start with some world building because this is a whole new fantasy world that we haven't talked about yet. And it's very different than the the stuff we've talked about so far. A lot of the books we've read and recorded on so far were all fairy based.
Hmm.
And a lot of people would call this vampire, but it is, but it isn't.
More than that, like, yes, there's
Yeah, there's
vampire.
there's there's vampire that we'll get to. We don't find out about them for a while, but there is
There's gods,
obviously
primals.
there's gods,
Yeah.
there's blood drinking as part of some of this, and that's why people would call this a vampire book, but I don't really consider it vampire.
No,
It's um
it's different.
yes and no. Yes and no. I would call it like God's mythology slash vampire high fantasy. Because it
Okay.
definitely has like the world building of high fantasy to me.
Yeah.
Um,
And we've
and
read the entire both of the series, so just
yeah,
just talking about From Blood and
just
Ash.
talking about From Blood and Ash and like trying to not bring in
A lot
any
of
of the world. So the
Yeah,
world
there's a lot
as
of
we,
things.
yeah. So let's just jump into the world as we enter this story, what we know about it. Our main character, Poppy, Penelope, not Penelope,
Penelope.
Penelope, fee. It's Penelope. In this reread for this, I listened to the audiobook and I think I'd always said Penelope, but it's Penelope.
Hmm.
So the PH is an F sound. But and she is the maiden in this world in Macedonia. And she is living in one of the Macedonia's capital where the queen and king live. And she is living in Macedonia. And these are these societies that are surrounded by big walls called the Rise to keep out these blood hungry, mindless creatures called the Craven, who will bite you, and then you get the sickness. What was the curse? I think they called it the curse. Um, and so there are mortals, and there are the ascended, who are like the ruling class.
A rich class
They're
too.
the rich class, but they are made up of the second sons and daughters who are given to the gods and go through an ascension when they're like 19, I think 19, 20. And we don't know what the ascension entails. We just know that they go to the capital and they ascend, and then they have dark black, like eyes, and they only come out at night, and they're practically immortal.
Yeah, they can die.
But they can live to be hundreds of years old. So the ascended are the ruling class. So when the second sons and daughters when they get given to the gods, then they become ladies in wait and lords in wait, I guess. Um,
Are they ascended by then?
no, they're not, because Tawny
No.
is a
So
lady in wait.
Tawny is
Yeah, so
Poppy's la- lady's maid, but also her
ladies
friend.
maid, but their friend. And so they give them when they're like 13, 14. So I think it's to kind of like train them in society before they go and ascend. And then third sons and daughters get given to the temple and never seen again.
Yeah.
So,
It's the gift to
you
the
know,
gods.
the gift to the gods, to serve the gods. And we will get to what is really going on eventually. This is the natural order of things as we enter the book. And the bad guys are the Atlanteans, who they're told create the Craven, and a kiss from them will turn you into a Craven, and that they're everything evil in this world, and they're run by the Dark One, Prince Castile, but everybody just calls him the Dark One.
Hmm.
So Poppy, our main character, is the maiden. So she is chosen by the gods, born in a shroud, has to wear a veil all the time, can't talk to people. But Homegirl doesn't like to follow the rules.
Well, and it's safe to say that she is actually her parents are gone.
They're
Parents
dead.
are
Yep.
dead.
They were killed by Craven,
And she survives a Craven attack.
which is unheard of.
It's never been done. So that's one of the specialties of the maiden.
Another reason why they think she's a gift from the gods.
Yeah.
So when we enter the book, Little Miss Maiden is at the Red Pearl, which is a pleasure den person, a tavern.
A bit of a brothel, but you can play cards
Well,
there.
play cards, But
Somewhere
she's got
not the
a
maiden should be.
so we're not the maiden should be this untouched, pure, unspoken to person. She wears a mask, but apparently a lot of people wear masks, so they don't their identity is secret. So like they can all do bad things, but like nobody knows. So she's wearing a mask and a hood on her. She stole a maid's um cloak.
Her name is
So
Britta.
yeah, she stole Britta's cloak.
Because she's veiled all the time, this is the
Nobody knows
perfect
what she looks
nobody
like.
knows. Yeah, nobody knows what she looks like. So whether it's a
They
veil
don't
or a
know her
mask,
voice. Yeah,
yeah,
because
she
she's not
doesn't
allowed to
talk.
talk to anybody.
This is a perfect opportunity to her to just live.
Live a little, live a little. She snuck out in the middle of the night and she went to the Red Pearl.
And it
And
wasn't that she was looking for anything sexual.
I,
She was playing cards.
she was playing cards. I think she just wanted to like experience life.
Yes.
Her guard Victor shows up, not to find her, but just to, it is Jolly's.
She's completely mortified that he's there, but
Because
she
he's like
also
a
knows.
dad to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have this very close relation. And he's taught her how to throw a dagger. He gave her this very special dagger made out of, what is it?
Bloodstone and
Bloodstone.
woven, and then the handle is out of woven bone.
This is a very special relationship. But it's also, he's a father figure. So the fact that she is at the Red Pearl,
One, she would be in trouble. Yeah. And B, she's like, ew, he's talking to a woman like, I need to hide. And this very nice lady is like, oh, go upstairs. The second door on the right should be empty. Dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun.
that
It was
wasn't
not,
planned.
oh, no, not at all. So she ends up in this room, and all of a sudden, someone grabs her, pulls her to his chest, and is like, what are you doing here?
A very muscular, very tall
Tall.
chest.
Yes.
He's 6 foot
Um,
5.
this book starts off real spicy.
Oh, yeah, and like it's right off the bat. You're like, oh, okay, okay, I got you.
Set the tone. Set the tone. Yeah, so Poppy's like, oh shit, this isn't good. She thought she was alone, and when she finally sees who it is, it's this like rise guard named Hawk Flynn, who she has been thirsting over.
Yeah,
Everybody's been thirsting over him.
everybody has noticed him.
Yeah, but she goes and watches him train. Just, just a little stalkerish, just a little bit. But like, look, homegirl's not allowed to do anything. She can take a walk through the courtyard.
I mean, yeah.
So she absolutely knows who he is. And apparently Britta has slept with him before because he's like, "Ooh, wasn't expecting to see you again so soon." Because he thought she was Britta. And then he kisses her and he's like, "Definitely not Britta."
You download that thing
Yeah, I read it.
so you can get the POV from a Hawk off
Yes,
of
Hawk's POV.
Jennifer. Yeah, off of Jennifer
But do not read
Armentrout.
that until you finish this book because
Yeah,
there's a
read the
lot
book
of
first.
spoilers in it.
Yeah,
There's a
there
lot of
are.
spoilers, so you gotta finish the book first.
It is
But
really
Hawk
good
is
though.
like all, oh, he kisses her. It's her first ever kiss, and she's like, well, one, that was incredible. And two, like, eek, he realizes I'm not Britta. Like,
Yeah, because
it,
she's not shoving his tongue down his throat.
I think he says, I know you're not because the person that that cloak owns to, last time I kissed her, she tried to suck my tongue out of my mouth or something like that.
that's a visual. I mean, but he does notice that she has absolutely zero experience
Yes,
in that area
yes,
too.
yes. So Maiden's been kissed and they're getting a little steamy, little, he is like all over her. He is kissing. Well, okay. Homegirl only has her nightgown on underneath her cloak.
Very thin material,
Okay, and
fairly transparent.
talk about like just in general in this book, every time she sneaks out at night, she only wears her nightgown under her cloak. I don't understand why she doesn't put other clothes on. Like,
She's a smart girl. Like I get
I
maybe the rise, when we get to that
yeah,
point,
when we get to
but
the point where she goes on the rise, she was in a hurry. But
she
like,
knows
she
she
knew
was
she was
going to
going
the
to the
Red
Red
Pearl.
Pearl. She went to the library too. She
Oh
also
yeah.
just so I kind of like, homegirl, get changed. We're going in public. It's kind of like those people that think a sweatshirt means you don't have to wear a bra.
I might be that person.
You leave the house without a bra on. At home, it's one thing.
I mean, if I'm like going to the store, I mean, I wouldn't do that if I was going to work, but like if I have to go pick up something and I'm wearing a t-shirt, yeah, I'll put a sweatshirt over it and be like,
Depends on how chesty you are. That is an effective form of covering. I that doesn't work.
I'm of average proportion. It might be shrinking.
I lost a lot of weight, so now mine are like deflated balloons. They're just like sagging down there. Which poppies apparently are very perky. She never wears a bra.
Maybe that's
Apparently
the
there's
secret.
apparently there's no bras in this world.
Hey, I'm living there. I am going there right now.
Yeah, but sometimes you need some support. Sometimes the girls need. I can't imagine doing all that fighting she does without a little like without her just flopping around.
Well, we do know that she's, shorter than average and she's very voluptuous. Um,
Yes,
and so I don't know. I don't have those like I am not voluptuous.
because Victor, her guard, has trained her how to be like an incredible fighter. Like she's not just like, oh, I can kind of defend myself. Like she's a freaking warrior.
Yeah, she comes out kicking and screaming, which I like.
Yeah. And she always has her dagger attached to her thigh, which I think is so hot. And
And Hawk finds that when he's on top of her in the Red Pearl.
she's like, it would be stupid to come here unarmed. And he's like, but only if you know how to use it. She's like, oh, I know how to use it.
Oh yeah, he
Oh
was a
my God.
little bit about
The
it.
the joke he made about getting off was so good. Like, get off. And he's like, I was planning on it.
I did not. Okay, I have to say, until I read his POV, I did not know that was that joke. I was Poppy. I was like, oh,
No,
yeah,
I got it because I have a filthy mind. So
it's pretty dirty. I just.
Yeah. Yeah. He got pulled away and he's like, wait for me. And she's like, yeah, of course. And the moment he leaves, she like leaves too. So
Yeah.
we then get her back in her chambers in the castle where we find out that there's Lord and Lady, what are their names? Tyrion. I always think Tyrion, but that's just because of Game of Thrones. It's
The
Duke and
Duchess.
Duchess.
Yeah, the Duke and Duchess. I found the Duchess to be quite kind in the situation that they're in. She can't be completely forthcoming with everything.
The Duke clearly likes to punish her. He is a sadist.
He is a
And
sadist. Yeah.
like anytime she does something what he deems wrong or he finds out about it, then he teaches her quote unquote lessons. And those lessons tend to be him beating her with a cane on her bare back. And while Lord Dickhead watches, I don't remember his name. He's just a piece of shit. Um, there this is the thing with fantasy books. There's just a lot of names. There's a lot of things. There's a lot. But she mainly calls him the Lord. The Duke and the Duchess and the Lord are like the initial bads that we're dealing with because the Duke likes to punish her for everything. And so Poppy, from surviving the Craven attack that her parents were in, has scars on her face. And most people don't see her face, but the Duke, the few times that she's unveiled in front of him, he always says, one so beautiful, but the other side is a nightmare. And so she's very self conscious about the way she looks and her scars, but she also has them on her body from Craven bites. She is just like very self conscious about her scars because people have made her feel that way. Because the Ascended, it's all about perfection and beauty, and she's not perfect.
And you're right. It's Duke and Duchess of Tierman. So
Tierman.
Jacinda,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, I
There's
actually got something right.
yeah. I knew it sounded right. So Dorian is his first name and
Yes.
Jacinda is her first name. And so they don't
And
even touch, right? They don't even there's no signs of
there's
affection.
no loving
They don't
relationship between the
even
two of them.
there's not even like they don't even spend any time together. They're in separate areas
They're
of the
only
castle.
like seen together when they have to make like public appearances and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
and I'm fairly certain he beats her. So,
yeah, I think that he absolutely does.
but
And
Lord Mazine,
Mazine, Lord Dickhead.
yeah, Lord
Yeah.
Dickhead, he is friends with the Duke, or because two sadists join together.
I think the Lord is even more of a sadist.
I agree. Well, I think that if the Duke wasn't there, Lord Mazine would have been way worse than the
I
Duke. Like
agree.
the Duke had he had an image to uphold, and so did the Lord. But I just think that the Duke knew it had to be in private, and I think he
The
was ten
on the
times
Lord
worse.
like pulls her into alcoves and and they said he's one of the oldest ascended, which means he's had his humanity removed so long ago.
Yeah, he
And
doesn't feel, he doesn't care. There's no
no,
compassion.
not at all. Yes, he doesn't feel at all. He's just kind of a dickhead.
I think it's so awful when she gets called in for the dumbest stuff. Like,
Someone came into the atrium and sat next to her and she didn't get up and leave, so she got beaten.
yes, that I was trying to figure out where are we. I didn't want to give too much away. But yeah, so she said one sentence, I think, to them.
Yes, but
Yeah.
because she didn't get up and leave when they came and sat next to her, she never knows like what she's going to get called in for. And the only
She could
people that know that he beats her are Victor and Tawny. Tawny's her lady's maid slash best friend.
I think the Duchess knows too.
I think she knows, but she hasn't acknowledged
Anything.
it. So Poppy can't know for sure that she knows. She assumes she knows.
Yeah, and there's nothing that
Uh,
she could do about it anyways, because she's getting beat, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Poppy has two royal guards, Victor. and Rylan. So every day, Poppy likes to go to the gardens at dusk because she likes the night
Black,
roses.
right? They're
So
black
they
roses.
Yeah, but they bud when the sun goes down and they stay open all night and then they close when the sun comes back up. So she likes to go and watch them bloom. And Rylan loves to go with her and he's her guard. So this is after they had found a dead girl. So we do need to talk about
Alessa.
Melissa.
Alessa. Hmm.
She was a lady in wait and she was found dead with two puncture wounds on her neck. She looked like she had been drained of all of her blood. Her bodice was pulled down and her skirts were pulled up. So there had clearly been some activity, whether she was a willing participant or not. A craven has four fangs. So a craven that sucks blood has four fangs, and she
And
would
he
have become a craven.
and
And
they
they
make a
wouldn't
giant mess.
make a giant mess.
There
They
was
would
no
have not,
blood.
yeah, there was no blood. They wouldn't have stopped at one. And so then they're like, is it a dissenter, which is the people who support the dark one that are in the cities? And they're like, but how would a dissenter make those puncture marks without getting blood everywhere? The only person that could do it is an Atlantean. An
Uh,
Atlantean is
they're citizens of Atlantia with varying bloodlines. So they're born mortal until the age of 19 or 20 where they go when they go through the culling. And then that allows them to strengthen their abilities. So the ether, the magic.
yeah. Yeah, but the way that Poppy and them know it is that when they hit that state of maturity, that's when their ill spirits in their blood become active. And note during this period is a disturbing increase in strength and the ability to recover from most mortal wounds as they continue to mature. It is also to be noted that before the War of Two Kings and the extinction of the Wolven, which her dagger is woven bone, a bonding ritual is performed between Atlantean and a certain class of Wolven. Not much is known about this bond, but it's believed that the Wolven in question was duty bound to protect the Atlantean. But for a true Atlantean, two upper canines will form fangs, becoming elongated and sharpened. But this will not be overly noticeable to the untrained eye. Upon the appearance of fangs, the next phase of their maturity begins. They begin to thirst and have
But it's not
unnatural demands.
but it's
So
not
that's,
bloodlust like the Craven. Like they can
well, but that was the definition from the history book that Poppy read. So
oh
that
right.
is what Poppy thinks the Atlanteans are. That's what they are taught by the Ascended and the priestesses. So that was the definition that she read from the history of the War of Two Kings. So, because I think a big part of this world building is what Poppy believes and what we find out to be true. And who is telling the truth and who is not, and who are really the good guys and the bad guys. And it's more complicated than you think it is. But so they think an Atlantean killed Melissa. So Ryland's supposed to be on like high alert. They go to look at the roses. I
But
cried during this part.
he's become I he's become complacent, although I don't think he really has. I don't think anybody could have expected him to get shot with an arrow. Yeah, like nobody
They're
was
just
going to
taking
expect that.
No, he probably shouldn't have taken her to the gardens right after the attack. It is what it is. He gets shot and killed, and the person that shot him tries to take Poppy. And homegirl throws down. She grabs that dagger and she slices that asshole up. Cuts him like two times.
And you should not feel
And
sorry for that guy.
no, and he is like, I will kill you for that. I will bathe in your blood and eat your
Feed on
entrails.
your entrails.
Entrails.
Gross.
So gross. But he said, I don't care what he has planned for you. Meaning he's not the dark one.
No.
So and Poppy figures that out too. Like he wasn't the dark one that tried to take her because the dark one wouldn't have said that. And so there's a whistle and he gets called off. And so she saves herself,
Yeah.
which is what Victor's trained her to do. So now she needs a new guard. And guess who just happens to be made her guard, even though he's new? Coughlin.
But
Hot damn.
he's got he's got a great reputation and accolades from the queen, blah, 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 blah. Commander Jensen goes
He's
on and
friends with the
on.
commander. Yeah. And she's like, shit, what if he recognizes me? What if he tells the Duke? What if he tells Victor? Like, clearly, I'm supposed to be able to speak in front of this person, but he's gonna recognize me by my voice. Like,
Mm.
but can we talk about when she gets unveiled in front of him?
Yes, that was, I thought, having a scar, I have got several scars on my face too, but it's just like for someone, the Duke is sitting up there saying one half of her is absolutely stunning and the other half is such
Beautiful.
a tragedy
A
and
nightmare, a
a nightmare.
tragedy.
And so she obviously, who would want to take their veil off after that? But so she takes her veil off and Hawk is just like, yeah, you're beautiful. Like he
She's
says it
beautiful.
he says it right in front of the Duke. Just he's not lying.
Well,
Um,
and she smiled. She looked directly at the Duke in the eyes and smiled at him.
that's what got her
And,
beat.
and that's what got her beat
And
because,
it was
like,
probably just a little, yeah, go fuck
kind of
yourself
like, he said
smile.
I look beautiful. Fuck you.
Mhm. And he
But,
meant
like,
it, but woo.
yeah, like, he genuinely meant it. And so she is like, try not to speak. So that lasts like a day. And then she has to talk in front of him.
But before, so she doesn't talk, she doesn't talk, she doesn't talk. And then the one time she's like basically not forced to talk, but the one time she decides to talk is to defend her friend.
Yeah, because Tawny, like he called her mage. Like she's not my maid, because she just thinks of her as her friend, and like she hates that Tawny is forced to serve her and be at her whim. She doesn't want that. She hates that someone's life is tied to her because not only is Tawny's life tied to her, she's constantly told that she's the salvation for the whole kingdom. That everyone's ascension after hers rests on her, and she's the future of the kingdom. That's a lot of pressure for someone that's only 18 years old.
Yeah. And in the meantime, before we get to On the Rise, Victor is taking her out secretly
Oh, yes.
and going
Death with
down.
dignity.
Yes, it's something called Death with Dignity. So the people that are not part of Carcedonia, they're in Macedonia.
They're in
The
Macedonia. Mhm.
they're the poorer of the people, but there's people are getting bitten by Craven. And so it's,
Huntsmen.
yes. And so
Huntsmen are go out beyond the wall.
and so Victor will bring her out because they can't, they start to get the sickness, right? And that's when
The
they
curse.
slowly,
Mhm.
yeah, the curse, they slowly become the Craven. And you get to that point when you're about to turn that you can't even take your own life now. Your loved ones can't do it. And so Victor will come in
Yeah.
and she has this gift, this magical gift to take the pain away. She can feel what you're feeling.
Mhm.
And then she can give you a sense of peace as you die.
Yes. Yes. So when we start the book, she thinks she can only feel other people's pain. That's the only emotion she can feel. And so she can help ease their pain. But also they call it death with dignity because if they're found out by like the authorities, then they will be literally burned alive in front of everyone. So it's not your fault you got bit. You were doing your job or, whatever happened. And then instead of like allowing you to die and have a peaceful death, like being, ultimately put down, the kingdom would basically murder them in front of a crowd. So they have to do this in secret because it's considered high treason. If they were found out that they were doing this, um,
Victor at least
Victor
would die. I don't think she would, because she's the
She
maiden, but
wouldn't, yeah, she wouldn't, but in general, they aren't the only people a part of this network. There's all kinds of people that go out and do this. They don't know who each other are for their own protection, but they know there's other people because you put a white handkerchief on your door, and that's how the network knows that you need the help. And that
coincidentally, she can't feel anything from the Ascended.
No, she
She
feels
can
nothing
reach
from them.
out. She tries to use her senses to
Cold.
feel. Nothing.
Nothing.
No.
No feelings. Completely cold. And she's been forbidden to use her gift though. Like she's told that it is forbidden. She can't talk about it. So the only people they're supposed to know are the king and queen, the duke and duchess, and those are supposed to be the only people that know. But Victor
Victor.
knows.
Connie doesn't
She
know.
Connie doesn't know. And so Victor gets really bad headaches. We would probably call them migraines.
Yeah.
There and she'll help ease his pain sometimes. So she's got this gift that's hidden. That's another like element, a layer to her. And then there's this Craven attack after Hawk becomes her guard, and she sneaks out this old servant because she lives in the old part of the castle where nobody else lives. Because there's this servant thing, and that's why she can sneak out to go help Victor. She can get to the room that her and Victor train in, and she can, that's how she gets out to the Red Pearl and all these other things. But she can get to the rise. So
Yeah.
there's a Craven attack, and Tawny tries to stop her, but she's like, "Nope, I'm going." In her nightgown and her cloak
And her
and her
slippers.
satin slippers, runs out with a bow and arrow and her dagger. But Homegirl starts like killing Craven, like she
Girl
is
got
knocking.
skills.
She's got skills. She's saving all these other guards because she's killing Craven left and right. She's just shooting him with arrows. It's either head or the heart. The only way to kill him.
She saved Victor, and Victor, threw up a smile.
Yeah. Although he doesn't want her out there, but he's also proud of her. Like he's
Yeah.
proud of her because Victor's wife and daughter died. I don't think they told us how. So his family's gone. So she's his family.
So Victor, I forgot this. Yeah. Victor's wife died in childbirth, and the child died too.
So there's all these little like, why the people weren't putting some of this together along the way. Like it clearly starts building up for me as a reader. Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. These descenders clearly have a point.
Yeah.
So she's out on the rise, and there was way more Craven than they thought they were going to be. They were almost got over the wall, and it was subsiding. And then she goes to leave to like go back, and she gets stopped by Hawk, and they have a little tit for tat. Like she's trying to get away, she's fighting him. Like
Their banter, it's that whole slow burn sexual banter, like
oof,
witty banter. I'm gonna pick on you, you pick on me, kind of thing. And it's just
that. And she's got skills, so she's trying to get away from him, and he's like meeting her blow for blow. She's talking to him, and he calls her princess, which is what he called her in the Red Pearl. So he clearly knows that they're the same.
yeah.
But then, yes, but then he also called her the maiden. So he is connected that she is the person from the Red Pearl, and she is the maiden, and she is trained to fight.
I think he picked up on that in the Red Pearl. I think
Okay,
once he
I
knew
think
her
he did.
smell,
Yeah, but
the
we didn't
honeydew
know.
smell.
Yeah, but we don't at this point know that he has superhuman smell. So she doesn't know that he knew.
Oh no, no, and actually, we don't truly know that
No,
he
not
knows.
till much later.
Like there's reasons why we think the way we think, but if you're
Yeah.
just starting this book, you wouldn't really pick up on it that Hawk knew.
He picked
Yeah,
up specifically then that this was her. Well, one, he saw the dagger,
the dagger.
and it's the same dagger. And so that's when he said princess, but then he also is like maiden. And then she gets away from him. She gets back to her room. He storms in and kicks Tawny out. It's like, oh, I gotta talk to her. And
Yeah.
he's like, how did you get out of your room? How did you get out of your room? And she's not gonna tell him.
I mean,
Like,
she eventually does,
eventually.
but the thing I love the most is he doesn't care necessarily that she's
He
helping
didn't
or
tell
that
her not to fight. He just said, next time wear better shoes.
yeah, better shoes and maybe put on some more clothes. I don't know,
But
going out in your nightgown.
he said the shoes will be the death of you, and the nightgown will be the death of me.
Exactly. So I like the fact that he's not sitting
Girl.
there trying to
Oh, when he said that, he has so many like good little witty like one-liners.
the banter,
Uh,
y'all. It is really good.
it's really good. It's so good. Oh my God, one time he said I'm many things, but decent is rarely one of them. Ah,
I know.
because we like our men in a book morally gray.
He is definitely morally gray, for
Yeah.
sure. When they first start this whole dance of getting to know each other, I think he might not have known who she was, but I think he fell in love at first sight. I really do think so.
If he did, he didn't know it yet.
No,
I don't
I don't think he would admit to himself, especially
know. But he
after things that have
constantly
happened.
keeps saying that she's intriguing and she's not what he expected.
Yeah,
Because I think he was expecting this spoiled person, a lot like the Ascended, and she's kind. Like she wants to
very
ease
kind.
people's suffering. She wants to help. She wants to defend people. She cares about people, and she has this brother who's already ascended and she misses him. She wants human interaction so bad. She's
Yeah,
just locked away, and what are normal deep things for people to do are forbidden for her. And it's just kind of sad.
and there's
And I just,
the priestess Analia, who's absolutely awful.
she's a bitch, but she's
And
mortal. The priestesses are mortal.
I thought she would be like old. When I first read this, I was like, oh, she's got to be some old lady, hasn't gotten sex in a while, blah, blah, blah. She's like 30, 40 years old.
They're
Like, come
30s or
on.
40s. Yeah.
Why are you such a
Yeah.
bitch?
Because I think she has very little power, but she has power over her.
It's just,
There's definitely like power trips. Like the Lord is on a power trip, the Duke is on a power trip, the priestess is on a power trip.
the Duke is such a, like when Rylan dies, Rylan is killed.
They kept calling him Ryan.
I don't know if I could have held back either. She loved Rylan. Rylan was part of her crew, right? Rylan protected her,
Yeah.
and this is dickhead who beats her kept calling him Ryan.
It's just
Like,
like his name was Rylan.
and then of course that gets her in trouble.
She was already about to get beat with a cane at that point. But that's the time she gets beat, and Hawk is already her guard, and he's like, "What happens in that room?" She's like, "Nothing, nothing." She's protecting the Duke.
Oh no, she's protecting Hawk. She's protecting all the other ones who would go in and defend her because they
Yeah,
would
but Victor
lose.
knows what happens, but Victor also knows there's nothing he can do about it. Victor
Right.
knows.
But Victor wasn't
Um,
going to tell anybody either. Like,
and I think that
there's no
I think she
point.
doesn't want Hawk to know because she's embarrassed too. I mean, I think there's a level of shame in it, even though she knows she didn't do
Oh, well,
anything
yeah.
wrong. It's still incredibly shameful to be beaten with a cane. So basically, her boobs are hanging out for these men to look at while she's being beat with a cane. Like it's so demeaning. And who wants to admit that that's happened to them?
Oh,
But
yeah. There's
Hawk,
definitely a layer of shame
but
too.
Hawk is like, I'll find out. And she's like, nobody knows. Did
What?
he find out? I think we should jump ahead to the night of the right.
What is the night of the right?
The right is when the second and third sons and daughters are given over to the ascended slash the priest and priestess. The third sons and daughters come as babies. The second sons and daughters come as like, I think like 13-year-olds. They're a little older. But then there had been a family who had come and petitioned to keep their third child because their
Oh.
first, second child were both died to the blood disease.
Mm-hmm.
And they begged to keep their child, and the Duke and Duchess said no. And it was heartbreaking and terrible. She had to just sit there and watch. She couldn't say anything. But so it comes the night of the rite, and she's never been able to attend the rite before. But because she's about to ascend, she gets to go, and everyone wears red except the ones that are being given up. And so she gets to wear this sassy red dress, this like low cut and gauzy, and she doesn't have to wear her veil. She gets to wear a domino mask. So she gets to like blend in more than she normally gets to because she is only ever allowed to wear white. This is the only time she's ever worn color. That sounds really boring. And also, like, you would get things on yourself all the time.
You and I would.
I can't wear white without getting something on myself. And they don't have tied to go pins. So
Even
she's
own
like,
white.
yeah. So we get to the right, and she's required to be there for part of it. And she is standing there with Victor and Tawny, and Hawk is not there. They don't know where he is. So she only has one guard. And this woman comes up, and she's one of the women who she and Victor had helped take care of her husband and let him die with dignity.
Agnes?
Agnes. So Agnes comes up and asks to talk to her alone. And Victor's like, that's not happening. She's like, you can say anything in front of Victor, you can say in front of me. But she clearly is uncomfortable. And she keeps saying, I didn't know you would be here. I didn't know you would be here. I didn't know you would be here. And like that sends my warning flags going. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
She just kept saying, well, she just wasn't really saying anything at all, but she kept saying, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going to be here. So she clearly wanted to say something else. And she like runs off, and Victor wants to go after her, but he can't because Hawk's not there. And so she doesn't have another guard. So they go back inside the right, and everyone's been given to the gods by now. And Hawk is back, and Tawny like has to stay by her side, but you could tell she wants to go off and dance and do things that Poppy can't do. And so she's like, you know what, Tawny, I'm gonna go to bed. Because she knew Tawny wouldn't go and do the fun things as long as she stayed there because she would feel like she was obligated to stay with her. But she's a good friend. And she's
She
like, but
is.
let me go back to my room because I want my friend to have fun. Just because I can't have fun doesn't mean Tawny can't have fun. And I love that about her.
Yeah.
And so Hawk starts to escort her back to her room, and he's like, they walk past the garden. He's like, you used to love it, didn't you? She's like, yeah, but like it's now tainted or whatever. So he's like, you got to replace the bad memory with the good memory. Like, let's go out, let's walk. I'm with you, it's fine. He takes her to that willow tree.
So the willow tree, I imagine it kind of like the Whomping Willow. There's that underneath where there are all these benches that you can sit at and it's completely dark. So they go in underneath the willow where all the benches are. It's complete darkness. She doesn't
But
understand why
but
he
he
can
can
see things.
see.
Yeah, he can
Yeah,
see things and she can't.
she
And so
can't.
he finds a bench and pulls her down on his lap.
On his lap. Oh,
And it's always like, this is so inappropriate. And this banter that they have going back and forth is so sexy. And so it's like slow
because
burn.
because he also treats her like a person, and nobody else treats her like a person. Even Victor and Tawny, although they care about her as a person, they still treat her with this level of the maiden respect. And Hawk
Well,
is just treats her as Poppy, like 100%.
Hawk will die for her at this point. Like he's
Well, he's
both,
yeah, taking an oath
but it's not the same as Victor. Like Victor knows she's getting beaten, but he's not going to do anything about it.
because he knows that he would lose his job, if not his life, and then he wouldn't be able to be there the rest of the time.
Hawk doesn't give
And
it like Hawk's like, this is not going to happen.
things are a little different for him. But Victor, I think Victor doesn't intervene because he knows he would lose his life and then she would lose him. And that would be harder on her than trying to get her to behave. Not always, but sometimes she brings it on herself. The rules that she's held to are insane.
Ridiculous.
They're ridiculous. But she doesn't always do herself any favors because she does have a snippy mouth, and unfortunately that is not allowed for the maiden.
You can't take that away from someone. Like it's very hard being a mouthy,
Ingrained in who you are.
right? I'm extremely
Yeah.
mouthy. But you can't take it's very hard to break that from someone. It's you're only going to hold back for so
Well, and
long.
he's
So
trying to break her for sure. And I genuinely think that Victor loves her. He says it at one point, like, I love you like you're my daughter.
He's such a rule follower, and he puts too much trust. Victor does. He puts too much trust, I think, at this point in time from what we see. Like we know further down the line what happens, but in this first book, it's almost like he wants to be there to protect her, but he also has faith in the system kind of thing.
Well, I think that he doesn't see that there's any other way to protect her but the system. Like dissenters die,
Yeah.
and like where would he even take her? There is no other place. This is the only society they know, and they think the Atlanteans are almost extinct, and
Well, they
so
blame
it's
the Atlanteans for
for
everything.
everything. So it's like, what alternative was there for him to do for her? There wasn't. Like,
Mhm.
I think him teaching her how to fight, him treating her like a person, like him taking her to help him, all of those things were the only way he knew how to protect her and to love her. And if he died, he knew, like, if he spoke up, he would be killed, period, or exiled, but probably killed. And he knew
Right,
then
yeah.
there would be no one else for her. So it would be worse. And I think that's why he didn't do anything, because he knew that it wasn't going
This
to change anything.
this was his only way of protecting her, but
Yeah.
Hawk knows a completely different narrative. But he in the Willow, he is already being a bad influence. She knows that.
Oh,
She
yeah.
asks him. She asks him because she wants to be kissed. We all know she wants to
Yeah.
be.
Who doesn't want to be kissed?
I mean, and he even says, "I won't be able to stop. We need to go."
When she said, "You're such a bad influence," he said, "Only the bad can be influenced, princess."
So they kiss. They have a little makeout sesh.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Victor catches them.
right. They're walking back. He's like, "Yeah, we should probably go back." And
And
Victor
Victor,
loses his
and
ever loving mind.
which, because if they were caught, I mean, it would be
Yeah.
devastating. And he's like, "Do you know who she is?" And I highlighted this. "I know exactly who she is," Hawk shot back. "Not what she is. Maybe you've forgotten that she's not just a goddamn inanimate object whose only purpose is to serve a kingdom that I haven't." And Victor was wounded by that, because I don't think that he's forgotten she's a person. I think the rules don't apply to Hawk.
Right.
And we don't understand why he doesn't care about the rules.
Yeah, he's trying to protect her, but Victor even says, like, "Oh, is this just another notch in your bedpost?"
Well, yeah, because he's already slept with all these people. Like, everybody knows. Yes. And Victor, as a protective father figure, is like, one, like, is she just the ultimate conquest to you?
Yeah.
And like, he's trying to protect his daughter for pretty much.
Which is,
It's
I
like,
would have thought that too. Being Poppy, I would have been like,
yeah,
"Why do you want me? Come on." And she does think that, but I don't think she realizes for the same, like, I would have been like, "You want me because you can't."
yeah. She just wants him because she can't have anything.
Mhm.
And so I think she's so caught up in her own feelings that she never like processes that.
Yeah.
Uh, so this fight happens. Hawk storms off. Victor's going to take her back to her room, and then screaming is erupting. And they both run into the Great Hall, even though he really would rather take her back to her room. But we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And there are dissenters everywhere attacking. There's arrows coming. There's dissenters wearing these masks. They're supposed to be like woven masks. And all of a sudden the banner gets pulled down, and who's hanging up there but the Duke, with the cane through his heart. And she's like, "I don't even know who could have done that. It doesn't even have a pointy end. It would take somebody with like superhuman strength, like an Atlantean, to do that." And
Exactly.
she's like, "Very coincidental that the cane is how he was killed."
If I was
There,
talking, I'd have been like,
but there's like chaos erupting, and
"There is."
She's trying to find Tawny so she can save Tawny. Victor's trying to protect her, and it's just utter chaos. She's trying to save these other ladies in waiting that she knows, and just everyone around her is dying. Is just insane. And then the Duchess and the Lord find her, and the guards surround them, and they get out of that main great hall room into this side room. And look, the things that happen in that side room, I'm both crying and I'm like cheering, and it's a lot of emotions. Tawny is with her. It's the Duchess and the Lord. We now know the Duke is dead. And Victor is in there. There's some other guards, but
Duchess is a
the
moron.
Duchess, she goes, "We're safe here. We're safe here. They can't get to
Fine.
us here. We're fine."
Yeah, totally.
And then they beat through the door, and so she pulls out her dagger, and Victor's like, "Do it," because everybody's gonna know she can defend herself. We gotta protect yourself. And so they are killing all these dissenters left and right with the guards, and her and Victor killing most of them. And they're all down. Then the Lord said, "Clearly, you've been doing something you weren't supposed to do. There should be more lessons for you." Then they think it's all over. And then one of the dissenters who is just down comes up and throws a spear or a sword. He hits Victor in the back. And Victor goes down.
Okay, but here's my thing. I'm kind of a little pissed about it because Hawk knew how important Victor was to her and he let him die. He could have saved him.
That's forbidden, though.
I don't give a shit. He didn't think it was forbidden later in the book.
Yeah, because he loves her.
Yeah, but that is the most
But
important
also,
person
but
to hair.
yeah, but that would have blown his cover. Then
No,
everybody would have known he was an Atlantean.
and they
He
could have
couldn't
ran
save him.
away. They could have
No,
ran away
you
and
look. You and I both know there was nothing he could do. It would have blown his cover. He never would have been able to get out of there alive.
but I
There's
like
nothing he
Victor.
could do. I did too. I sobbed.
He reminded me of that guy on Game of Thrones. I'm gonna put it up in the video. It's gonna be like right here. That one
Doran.
guy. Is it that?
Like father
Yes,
figure that
yes.
was all, except he was in love with her. That was a weird, like,
Okay, but I didn't remember that part. So no, I just meant like the dad figure. And the Duchess is more pissed off that Penelope has a fucking dagger than all of the death that's going on.
yeah. And so, okay, Victor
Okay.
couldn't be saved. He dies, and he kept saying, "I failed you. I'm sorry. I failed you. I'm sorry." And I think some of that was he felt like he failed her, not protecting her from the Duke specifically. So his last words were, "I failed you, and I'm sorry," which is, oh, gut wrenching, gut wrenching. And so she's still holding Victor,
And she's so upset she can't even take his pain away.
and she feels like a failure for that. I know, she's so distraught. She gave it to his speaker. So she's holding Victor, who has just died, and the Lord's like, "Clearly the maiden's been inappropriate with her guard. She needs another lesson." Homegirl fucking loses her shit. She grabs a sword. She cuts off his hand. She cuts off his, like, both his hands, I think, then cuts off his head, and then goes to hacking him to fucking pieces.
Like a
Full,
butcher.
like, red mist. She doesn't even know what she's doing anymore. She can't stop. She not just killed him, cut him to fucking pieces. And then she, like, blacks out because no one can get her off of. She, like, Hawk gets her off of him. But she's screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming. And so then she, like, it all goes white. And we find out he put, like, a pressure point to, like, make her go to sleep
Had
because
to
she
put her
was
out.
had to put her out because she was clearly distraught. She just lost her father figure. And I mean, this guy's been abusing her for years. So he deserved what he got.
Oh,
But
Lord
so,
Mazine? Yeah. Okay, so chapter 27. Victor has died. Lord Mazine has been chopped up into bacon, and we are now,
she
has no
slept
clue
for
what's
like a
going
week
on.
and a half. Yeah,
She slept through his
there's
funeral.
Yeah, well, they put her under a sleeping potion, which she usually won't take. And so she has slept for like a week and a half. And they finally are like, okay, you got to get out of bed.
Yeah.
The Duchess wants to see you. And she's like, oh shit, here comes my punishment for, killing somebody.
But she
That's
did
what
not
she
get in
thinks is going to
trouble.
happen. She didn't get in trouble.
I don't think she would have gotten in trouble for anything. I think they just scared the shit out of her. Like if you killing Lord Mazine, you know he's an asshole. But if
Well, I
the
think the judges knew he deserved it.
yeah,
And
but I'm pretty sure she could get away with I mean, maybe not, sleeping with Hawk, but I'm pretty
yeah,
sure she would have gotten away with a lot more had she just, tried a little bit harder.
well, she tries to bring up to the Duchess, like, did you know? And that's when the Duchess says, some truths do nothing but destroy and decay what they do not obliterate. Truths
Yeah.
do not always set one free. Only a fool who has spent their entire life being fed lies believes that. And that's when I for sure is like, the Duke beat the Duchess too.
Yeah, because if she had said, "Oh, well, you
I
deserved
had to
that
learn these
punishment,"
lessons.
but to learn the
That's not
lesson, no, she
that's not
didn't.
what she said. But
No,
she's like, I knew everything that happened, but there's things that you don't know.
right,
And I think Puppy is like, I never thought maybe he's cruel to her too. Mm-hmm.
exactly. I mean, the
Yeah,
Duchess could be as nice as she possibly could.
for now. For now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The queen has decided that it's time for you to come to the capital. With all this happening, so Hawk and all these guards are going to take you. And she's upset that Tawny's not coming with her, but there's not enough guards to watch her too. So many guards died during this uprising, during the riot. It just needs to be about getting you there. And
Yeah, and they get
so,
into it too. They
oh
argue about
yeah,
Tawny.
yeah. And Tawny's like, I don't really want to go. Like, I want to go with you, but
I'm
I'm kind
scared,
of too,
girl.
I'm scared. So I don't know. I don't want to go. And so he tells her to pack light and she's not wearing the mask. She's like, don't bring a mask or a veil. That's not coming. Because obviously that would make her a giant walking target. So
Right.
they get to the rise and she's getting the sun and the wind on her face for the first time ever, really. And
Riding on a
uh
horse with
ride a horse in pants and a sweater. She doesn't know how to ride a horse, so she gets to ride with Hawk. So there's two guards she knows, one of them from playing cards with him.
Phillips.
So there's two that she knew. There was two that she met, but she had seen them before. And then this guy named Carrie. I think there's six guards and then Hawk, if I'm correct.
I think
Anyway,
so,
they
yeah.
set off on horseback. Hawk is like, this is going to be torturous. And she's like, I don't know what you mean. And it's basically because she is riding up on his lap, basically. So they ride and they get all the way to the Blood Forest. And she realizes they're going to have to stop for the night there. She's going to have to sleep in the Blood Forest,
It's
which
cold. It's cold, y'all.
really, really cold. She's not used to the cold. And it's too dangerous to light a fire because the Blood Forest is where the Craven roam free.
Right.
So they don't want to attract the Craven. There's some giant rodent shit that's there too that reminds me of Princess Bride.
Yeah, it's Barat.
They remind me of the rodents of unusual size.
Exactly the same thing I was thinking. I
they're
even wrote it
they're
down.
yeah. So that's what my mind thinks of. So she can't sleep and she's clearly freezing. And Hawk is like, okay, well, I'm gonna sleep with you.
Well, he said, you know what? He's like, you aren't afraid of dissenters or Craven, but you're shuddering like a wet kitten at the mere mention of a brat.
It's a giant rodent. We all have our fears.
Like, honest to God, hello. I would be scared of that stupid thing too. And I have a rat.
Yeah. They said it's the size of a board, it's like a 200-pound rat. Who
Ugh.
would not be scared of a 200-pound rat? I'm sorry.
Yes. Can we just focus on the fact that while they were packing up, he decided to slip in the Miss Willa diary?
He put it in his own bag. He brought that book with her. So we talk about Miss Willa's diary. So before the rite, she snuck out to go to the library one night because she had heard all these ladies in waiting talking about this journal, Miss Willa Collins' diary, that was spicy.
Five chili,
Five chili spicy.
chili peppers. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So she sneaks out to go get it. She's in this room, like flipping through it. She wasn't ready to go back to her room yet. And she hears voices. And so she goes out on the ledge to
Well,
hide.
the Duke
Ends up
comes
being,
in.
she was like in his private lounge at the library. So she's just holding on for dear life outside. And then the Duke leaves, and then she hears the door lock, and she gets grabbed. And it's Hawk pulling her back in because he had
Knew she
followed
was
her.
there. Yeah, he knew. He's like, "Are you gonna come in?"
He's like, "What are you doing?" And she again is only in a nightgown. She
Same
didn't
that I
bother her
do.
death. He finds out the book is very spicy. And so it becomes like a thing where he's like, "You gonna read it out loud to me? Like, how far have you gotten in that book?" So he had snuck that in his bag. So he has it with him. Miss Willa Collins, she's doing God's work out there, you know. The gods, because they have multiple gods, the gods work.
Yeah, that's what it
Uh,
is.
they have to stay overnight in the blood forest. She can't sleep. And so he decides to like crawl up next to her, pull her in, put his blanket on her too, body warm. And also, Victor's told her about her nightmares, and he knows that like someone's got to be close if she has one because if she screams, they'll bring the Craven. So logical reasons why he's getting in there. And then she's like, "I'm not gonna be able to sleep." And he's like, "I know something that could make you sleep." She's like, "There's nothing that could make me sleep out here." And he starts getting a little handsy, but on top of the clothes handsy. I mean, on top of the clothes finger action.
He goes, "I bet I can get you relaxed enough that you will sleep like you're on a cloud basking in the sun." He goes, "When I'm done, right before you drift off to sleep with a smile on your face, you're going to tell me I'm right."
Whew, he's a cocky son of a bitch.
And then you're right. It's
Uh,
over the clothes,
over her leggings,
PG-13.
but
Ish.
nobody's ever touched her down there. I
No.
don't know that
And
she's touched herself either.
both our faces.
Like,
Honest to God, you're like 19.
yeah, but she doesn't, the way she talks about it doesn't seem like she's done that to herself.
How do you not figure that out?
Well, that's forbidden to her. But that was the impression I got. She hadn't.
She thinks people can see. And he makes
Yeah,
her
she
believe
starts
that no one can see. But you know, Karen can see.
Karen's not mortal, guys.
And Kieran, y'all got to keep up with the series. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yes. So he gets her off, and then she falls asleep and sleeps through the night.
Oh my God.
It was, guys, it was hot.
It was because he said, I think I highlighted every hot, sexy part. "I would get inside you, Poppy. I would taste you. I bet you're as sweet as honeydew."
Yes. And he also said, "I would put my fingers in you, but if I put my fingers in you, then I would need to be in you. And we clearly can't do that right now. So that's why he doesn't go under the clothes because he's like, hmm, if I touch you, I'm going to want to be inside you."
I know.
And then he thanked her the next day.
I know.
She's like, "I think I'm the one that should be thanking you." He's like, "Thank you for trusting me to do that." I'm like,
Have you ever had anyone tell you that?
no.
That's why a woman writes these books.
1000%. That's why it's written by a woman. So they wake up, they get going, they know that they're gonna have to ride. They don't want to stop at this one place that's got descenders. So they ride, stop for like 3 hours, and then ride.
And all this
But
time, she's reaching out to him and feeling that confusion and conflict taste.
yeah, she's feeling like
Like
she
that
started
lemony.
feeling more. She realized a while ago that she could feel more things than just pain. So
Yeah.
she can feel all kinds of emotions. And so she could feel that like what she thinks is confusion and kind of guilt in a lot of ways. And like, yeah, so
Conflict. A lot of
conflict,
conflict.
a lot of conflict. So she could feel that on him. So they get attacked by Craven.
Yeah. And she handles her own, which makes him completely aroused.
Yeah, she does. And he is like, he keeps calling her violent little thing. And ooh, And you
Which
could
reminds
tell,
me of Fourth Wing.
yeah, but this was written first. So
Oh no, it was, but that's what it reminds me of.
like you're such a
Violent.
violent little thing. And it turns him on and he is like so aroused by it, which I just like it. I like it. I like it.
Not as status, like he doesn't want her to hurt him, but
No,
it's
but he
like
finds it so sexy that she can take care of herself. He
because
finds it so sexy that she knows what she's doing with the sword.
they're not allowed to do that in Carcedonia.
Yeah. But
But
not even that. Like, I think in general, he finds a strong woman sexy.
well, but why? Like we can't get to that part, but there's a
We
reason
can't get,
why.
yeah, there's a reason why. But yes, the mist rolls in, the mist that comes with the Craven, and they get attacked, and she's holding her own. But not all their guards make it.
Oh,
And one of the really sweet guards is
Eric.
dying.
Eric dies.
Yeah, Eric. And she takes away his pain. And he goes, I remember you. We played cards once at the Red Pearl. He's like, I didn't want to say anything. She goes, I
Yeah.
remember. And it was like, he's like, I can't feel anything. And I know I'm supposed to feel. And so she took away all this pain. And that's when
Hawk saw it. Hawk knew.
Hawk saw it and knew that clearly there was something going on there. And so he's like, we'll talk about this later. He didn't want to talk about it in front of the other.
No.
But so they lost two guards, I think, during that. So they get to this town.
So they're walking through the town.
So they have this
Everybody's like
town. They get
saying
to this
hi to
town.
them.
Yeah, and everyone's running out of their houses and waving and they're knocking on other doors to get people to come out. And you're just like, this is so weird. Like, why is this so weird? And then they get to the keep, which there should be an ascended that rules over that. Like they're supposed
Right.
to be
Like a
like the ruling people. And so she's like, where's the ascended that's supposed to? And they're like,
lord.
oh,
Yeah.
he's hunting.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. And why does everybody know Hawk and Carrion? They all know them. And he knows these people by name, but he said that they had only been here like one time. She's like, something's going on here. But
Yeah.
Maggot, they send her up to a room and bring her food, and she gets to bathe all the craven blood off of her and all of that. And she puts on a robe and it's blue. And she gets so excited that it's not white. Because even the sweater they brought her to wear on the ride was white. She gets to wear a blue robe and she's like so freaking excited. And they're like, oh, we'll wash her clothes. But she's
And
waiting for
Hawk. There's two pillows.
they
It's that whole one bed in the inn situation.
there were other rooms. She's waiting. And this was not technically one bed because he had a different room. But she wants it to be a one bed situation. So she's waiting for Hawk and he comes in and he's like, I figured you would be asleep. And she's like, well, I was kind of waiting for you. And they talk about her gift. And
Yeah.
so she explains her gift. And clearly there's some wheels turning for him. And then she asks him to stay. He's like, I can't stay. If I stay, I'm going to want everything.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to be able to just lay next to you in bed. Like, I want everything. And she's like, stay, stay. He's like, and he's like, on her, like, whoo, take her down on the bed. Like, oh,
no
like
willpower. None. No willpower.
None. Like, they've been wanting to fuck for a while.
Yeah, but he's
like,
got this big bad secret.
Yes. So she's no longer the maiden. They have hot, steamy sex.
Good.
He goes down on her first because that's what was in the first chapter of Mrs. Willis Collins's diary. And so he goes down on her first and tells her that she tastes like honeydew. Because he had told her he thought she would taste like honeydew. And then he finishes down there. He's like, I was right. You taste like honeydew. Girl.
I heard that if you eat pineapple, that you might taste sweet.
Yeah, there's supposed to be different things that
I'm allergic to pineapple, but
well, asparagus is supposed to make it taste funky.
Well, it makes your pee smell.
Yeah, so there's supposed to be things you eat. Oh no.
I know.
Anyway, she tastes like honeydew. I don't know about you, but I've never been able to look at honeydew quite the same after reading these books. Period.
Oh no. Oh, and he says, you're so damn beautiful and so damn unexpected.
And I think he genuinely means it. Like he is so intrigued by her. He is so like taken aback by who she is as a person. And he thinks she's gorgeous. I think he genuinely is obsessed with her.
He
And
does, like, at the end, but in the morning, he does say, "No matter what happens, know that this
yeah,
is real. This is
yeah.
real." And then she forgot it was real
Well, it would
for a
be hard
moment.
to remember that it's real, in my opinion.
I agree.
So he leaves kind of in the middle, like early hours of the morning. He gets called away. And then Phillips, the other guard that she knew, shows up and is like, "Are you alone?" Like, he's clearly panicked. And he's like, "We got to get out of here. Like, there's something going on here." But she's like, "I trust Hawk. I trust Hawk with everything. I literally just gave him my virginity." She's already decided she doesn't want to ascend. Like,
Doesn't want to be the maiden.
then her mind is like, "Oh, Phillips is a descender and he's trying to take me."
Exactly.
And then they get out of the room, and Kieran is coming down the hallway. And apparently, one of the things Philip says is two of the guards have disappeared. Like, just can't be found.
Yeah, we
Just
can't
gone.
find them. It's because they're dead.
He sent one of the others ahead to get the horses. And so he's trying to get her out of there. She's thinking, "Oh God, he's just descended. He's trying to take me." They get in the hallway, and Kieran's like, "Where are y'all going?" And he's like, "Don't trust him." And then all of a sudden, Phillips cuts Kieran. And he's like, "You should not have done that. You really should not have done that." And then he morphs into a wolven, a giant fucking wolf. She's like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Like
Oh,
right
and
in
then
front of
just
our eyes. It
right in
happens.
front of her eyes, turns into a wolven and starts running after them. So they take off. She gets to the barn with Phillips. They sequester themselves in there. They're like, "How are we going to get out of here? What's going to happen?" Aaron's trying to knock down the door as a wolf. And we're like,
A very
the
strong wolf. Ugh.
a giant freaking wolf. And then all of a sudden, that guy from the garden creeps out and is like, "I'm going to kill you. Remember when I said I'm going to bathe in your blood and eat your entrails?" She's
Told
like,
you I'd be seeing you again. Like,
"Ah." He's missing a hand. He's
which,
missing a hand.
okay, but they don't even, like, there's no backstory on that. You have to read his POV.
Well, no, I was already going to say, I immediately thought he got punished for trying to hurt her.
I,
Like, that
I
was
didn't know it for sure, but I was like,
I was like,
okay,
no,
what?
that was clearly a punishment because he wasn't supposed to try and take her.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Shit." And she's fighting Jericho. And Kieran gets through the doors. And then there's all these other people. And she realizes they all have these insanely blue eyes. They must all be wolven. Wolven aren't extinct. Oh my God.
Lie number one, wolvens do exist.
Yep, wolvens do exist. So now she knows that's true. And then she's like, "Oh my God, where's Hulk? Where's Hulk? Where's Hulk?" And then he starts like coming up to him. And he's got like a crossbow, but she doesn't know it's a crossbow. All of a sudden, he started killing the guards with the crossbow. And she's like, "Shit, he's with them. Oh my God. He's a dissenter.
He's trying to tell her, oh, it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay."
Imagine, like, there's Delano, and, like, we all know who these people are, but just reading the book all over again and knowing our viewers, this is their first time.
Yeah. Clearly, they're surrounded by now all Hawks people. And she's like, "You lied to me. Like, this is awful." She's trying to have it out with him right there. And he wants to talk to her in private. And things still aren't fully clicking for her. He keeps telling everyone not to harm her. And they're clearly following Hawk's orders, but that's like not clicking for her. I think
Jericho
it's
is
just,
begging to kill her, though. Jericho is like,
yeah.
we
And
need to kill her. Please let me kill her.
he's like, "Nope." And so he realizes that she's got to go be put somewhere for her own protection, everybody else's, because she's like gonna cut people up and everything. So they put her in a cell.
Which sucks. But she got cut.
Yeah, she got cut in the fight over a sword,
Yeah.
but Hawk didn't really know that. So she's in the cell, and Delano is trying to be nice to her, and he's like, "I would have brought you stew, but I thought you'd throw it in my face, and the stew was too good to waste. So here's some bread and cheese." Like,
We
which
know
I
you
thought
like
was
cheese.
which I thought was like the cutest interaction personally. I thought it was so cute. I loved it so much. And so, but she's clearly getting sick from this cut. And then finally Hawk comes down and is in the cell talking to her. He smells her blood and he's like
Infection.
an infection because why does he have special scent? Why? All these things are like,
Finally adding up in her
girl,
brain.
yes. So he asked Delano to go get him stuff. And so he's taking care of her wounds and cleaning her up. She's really kind of fighting it. He's like, I don't want you to die.
But he doesn't want her to stop fighting either. Like he makes a point
No,
to
because
say
he
that.
likes it. He's like, I like it, but also this has got to happen. So I'm going to need you to like, come on, girl.
Mm,
And she still hasn't put together that he is the dark one. But to me, at this point, it's clear that he is the leader, like he is the person.
yeah.
And he's like, I've got to go meet with the king to tell him that we have you.
The plan was to use her as ransom.
Use her as ransom because the eldest son of the king is being held. Hawk tries to tell her, look, everything you know is wrong. The Ascended are actually vampire. They drink blood to live. The second sons and daughters are ascended by feeding them blood and then they turn into these vampire. And then the third sons and daughters are literally just food. And it's not the blood of the gods that they drink, it's the blood of an Atlantean. So he's going through all this detail of what's actually going on. And she's like, no, no, she like will not believe him.
No,
She believes nothing.
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. So she's like, you're lying. So the truth, all the things that she finds out are what's the truth and what's not is a lot. And we're gonna need to put that in its own episode because this is becoming entirely too long.
The truth
Uh,
is so important. Like it needs its own
yeah,
episode.
and how she comes to terms with the truth, I think, is also really important. So we hope you've enjoyed this part of the From Blood and Ash, and I hope you'll come back for part 2, where we talk about the truth.
Oh,
So
the
thank
truth. Juicy truth.
good stuff. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Listen, like, share,
Leave a review.
repost, leave a review. If you like what you hear, tell your friends. If you don't, then we don't care. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.